Welcome to our latest news update. Today we'll be discussing some of the most pressing news stories from around the world. First up,
Belarusian media is reporting that President Lukashenko has been taken to hospital amid speculations of poor health. In other news,
Lukashenko did not appear at the Belarusian National Flag Day celebration. Meanwhile,
German Finance Minister Olaf Scholz has stated that there can be no talk of peace in Ukraine without the withdrawal of Russian troops. On the campaign trail,
Turkish President Erdogan has accused the opposition of working with Biden. Additionally,
Japan's foreign minister has warned that China and Russia are increasing their military collaboration. Finally,
Argentina's inflation has surpassed all forecasts, hitting a staggering 109%. With so much happening in the world, let's get started. Belarusian dictator Alexander Lukashenko has reportedly checked into a hospital near Minsk, according to local sources.
His convoy arrived at the hospital at around 7 p.m., with access to the clinic closed off and roads guarded by armed enforcers. Lukashenko was seen in Moscow celebrating Victory Day with Russian President Vladimir Putin and other leaders, where his apparent physical weakness drew attention.
Unlike other leaders, he had to be driven around the small perimeter where the event took place and missed an official lunch with Putin. Reuters noted that Lukashenko looked tired and a little unsteady on his feet and had a visible bandage on his right hand, but showed no other obvious signs of being unwell.
Lukashenko later attended the Victory Day ceremony in Minsk, but broke from tradition by wearing a suit instead of his military uniform and not making a speech. He has also attended very few events in the past 2 weeks. Well, it looks like President Lukashenko's health is not the only thing missing in Belarus today. Apparently, the national flag celebration is also missing its main attraction.
Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko did not attend the celebration of the Day of the State Flag, state emblem and national anthem of Belarus on May 14th, due to his deteriorating health.
Lukashenko's speech was delivered by Prime Minister Roman Golovchenko instead. Independent media outlet Zerkalo noted that it was important for Lukashenko to attend the ceremony, as he has not been seen in public for 5 days.
There is no information available about the state of Lukashenko's health.
Lukashenko has made significantly fewer public appearances since the beginning of May. Lukashenko visited the presidential clinic in Drozdy on May 13th, after a long absence from the public eye.
Well, it looks like Lukashenko missed out on the Flag Day celebration. Maybe he was too busy trying to find a Russian troop withdrawal celebration to attend. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has stated that the withdrawal of Russian troops is necessary for peace in Ukraine.
Scholz made this statement during a joint briefing with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Berlin on Sunday.
He emphasized the need to discuss peace based on Zelensky's peace proposal. Scholz also assured Ukraine of Germany's continued support, noting that Germany has provided 17 billion euros in aid so far.
Zelensky stated that it is time to determine the end of the Russian-Ukrainian war this year.
He expressed belief in the success of the coalition of fighter jets during his visits to European capitals. Well, it looks like we're going from talking about Russian troops to Turkish politics. I guess we're taking a break from the Cold War and moving on to the hotly contested Turkish elections. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan held his last election rallies in Istanbul on Saturday, accusing the opposition of working with U.S. President Joe Biden to topple him while making a final appeal ahead of the biggest challenge to his 20-year rule. Polls show Erdogan trailing the main opposition candidate Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, a day ahead of one of the most consequential elections in Turkey's modern history.
Voters will also elect a new parliament, likely a tight race between the People's Alliance comprising Erdogan's conservative Islamist-rooted AK party, AKP, and the nationalist MHP and others, and Kılıçdaroğlu's Nation Alliance formed of 6 opposition parties.
Polls will open at 8 a.m. 0500 GMT and close at 5 p.m. 1400 GMT. By late on Sunday, there could be a good indication of whether there will be a runoff vote for the presidency. Erdogan's campaign over the past month has focused on his government's achievements in the defense industry and infrastructure projects, and his assertion that the opposition would roll back such developments.
Tension has risen in the days leading up to the election, with Kılıçdaroğlu wearing a bulletproof vest to his rallies on Friday, in response to intelligence his party received about an attack. Well, from accusations of political collusion to actual military collaboration, it seems like everyone's getting in on the teamwork spirit these days. Speaking of which, let's take a look at China and Russia's latest joint venture.
Japanese Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi expressed concern about Russian and Chinese military cooperation in Asia at a meeting of European and Indo-Pacific foreign ministers in Sweden. Hayashi said the security situation in Europe could not be separated from that in the Indo-Pacific region since Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Japan firmly backs Ukraine in the war, but China says it remains neutral while declaring a no-limits relationship with Moscow and blaming the US and NATO for provoking the conflict.
Hayashi accused Beijing of continuing and intensifying its unilateral attempts to change the status quo in the East and South China Seas by force, and increasing its military activities around Taiwan.
Hayashi also warned that North Korea was escalating provocations in the region by conducting ballistic missile launches with a frequency and in a manner that are unprecedented. Dozens of ministers from the European Union and the Indo-Pacific region attended the meeting, but China was not invited.
Well, it looks like China and Russia are teaming up to take over the world, but at least they won't have to worry about Argentina's economy.
Argentina's annual inflation rate reached 109% in April, exceeding analyst forecasts and causing hardship for consumers.
The country's monthly inflation rate for April was 8.4%, the highest in decades.
The inflation has pushed 1 in 4 people into poverty, exacerbating an ongoing issue in the country.
The economic situation has been worsened by a historic drought that has hurt exports and drained foreign reserves. The volatility in the foreign exchange market has further strained the country's finances and its loan deal with the International Monetary Fund.
The ruling coalition is trying to bring prices down ahead of upcoming elections, but many citizens are struggling to make ends meet.